Hi guys. So I want to address something that I get asked about quite a bit, and that is dark circles. On days where I have more pronounced dark circles, I would choose a color corrector. So a color corrector for under eyes is going to be a peach color or reddish color, and that cancels out the dark. When we talk about a color correction palette, I'll show you what I mean. So the green color here, we would want to use for redness. The pink color here, we would want to use that for the dark circles. You're gonna wanna put these colors underneath your foundation. You're gonna wanna use this with another product. You do not use this alone. So I'm gonna grab a brush and I'll show you how I do. I have my Angie Hot and Flashy A506 concealer brush. So I'm going to grab some of that pink color, and I have already moisturized my skin and applied a light serum under my eye. And I have waited enough time that this just feels nicely hydrated. So going in with a little of that pink, I'm going to place it anywhere that I have that darkness. And I don't go too heavy. I only use enough to get the job done. And so anywhere that I have those capillaries peeking through, I'm just gonna put just the slightest amount of this pink color. You can also do this as a one-step process if you have a concealer that has a peach hue to it. Okay, so now that I've applied that everywhere that I have those blue discolorations, I'm going to grab my concealer. As we get older, you don't want to apply too much product under your eyes because that is actually going to make you look older and not help the signs of aging that you do have. So removing any excess product is always recommended. Okay. So see how that kind of neutralized my under eyes? It doesn't do any brightening though. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a concealer. So I'm reaching for a concealer that has a little bit of pink to it. This is the Makeup by Mario SURREALSKIN Awakening Concealer in shade 160. I picked this concealer because it had a little peachiness to it. And I don't know if that translates on film as well as it does in real life, but sometimes when my dark circles aren't really that bad, I will just use this. The trick with this concealer is that it dries down pretty quickly. So I'm only gonna do one eye at a time, and I'm gonna work pretty quick. So we see there, I still have a little bit of darkness, and with as little product as possible, I'm going to take my brush and just pat it into the area where I have darkness. I'm not going to go any further than I need to into this area because that is where, when I smile, I get smile lines. This area here doesn't move as much. See that? This has a lot more movement, so that's where I might crease throughout the day. Okay. So just patting it in where I had the darkness, see that? And by patting it in, we're not taking it anywhere else that we don't need the coverage, thereby reducing the amount of concealer on our under eye. Over here, I do have a few more little veins, and so what's left on my brush, I pat in over those areas. So that is how I would do it normally to limit the amount of product on my under eye. Now, what I see people do quite frequently in videos is placing a small amount here and a small amount here. Let me show you the difference. So again, going right for that corner of the eye where I get the most darkness, patting it in, only where I need it. And then out here, And what that does is lifts the eye. And this little hollow here, where we start to see reduced volume as we get older, it adds some volume, it adds some light to that area. And then kind of blending in between those two worlds, bringing them together. There. On this eye, it's a little bit darker through here, so I might apply just a touch more. Again, careful with how much I'm applying. And I'm just tapping it in. If you allow your concealer to set a little bit before going in and patting it in, you get the most coverage out of your product. So I'm just letting it dry down a touch before going in and patting out the edges. And see that? It's not going to necessarily reduce the puffiness, but it certainly did take out the dark. Now, on the eye that I didn't apply the concealer on the outer side, it doesn't look as lifted. So we see it over here, by applying that small amount to the outer corner of my eye, it gave me a nice lifted effect. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And even a little bit more here like I did on the other side. So just patting it in. And then we can go in with our other products. Then we can go in with our foundation with a nice bright eye. And when I am doing my foundation, I will dab under my eyes to pick up any residual product, ensuring that I'm not placing too much around my eyes. And then what's left on my brush, I take above the brow, above the eyelid and the eyebrow. Just kind of patting it all in there. And there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the rest of my makeup. So today I'm going to use my NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, and this is in the color Santa Fe. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my foundation. And just taking the Beauty Blender, I'm going to distribute a nice thin layer anywhere that I have discoloration. Now I certainly could have used some color corrector on the rest of my face, but this NARS foundation is pretty high coverage, and I don't find that it leaves me with very much pigmentation underneath the makeup itself. So this is a good foundation to just even everything out without looking heavy on the skin. So without disrupting where I had put that concealer and keeping everything nice and light under my eye, I'm going to stay out of that area with anything heavy on my sponge. But see how that foundation cancels out the redness around my nose? Now, you can certainly go back in and spot conceal. And I do sometimes around my nose. But I find that the more product is on my nose, the more I look like I'm wearing more makeup. See? Virtually undetectable under eye. Very brightening, lifted look. This has been my favorite foundation for many years. The ease that it goes on the skin, the amount is so small that you actually have to use to get great coverage. And I have never found it to be incompatible with my face products that I use, which are changing throughout the years. I have never found it to pill on me or become hard to work with. Or even a better indicator would be sunscreen. I've never found this to be incompatible with any product underneath. That concealer has taken away any under eye darkness, and that color corrector also. Now, with the clean side of my sponge, I would go in and pick up any product that's left over. And this is something that I never did when I was younger. But as I get older, the more product on my under eyes actually makes me look a lot older. So, extra product lifts right up, and we are left with a nice, even base. I would go in and apply the rest of my makeup, or for a very natural look, I could just go out like this. I don't think I have gone out of the house with only this on in a really long time. I have gone out with this with a little bit of blush or a little bit of bronzer, but you very well could go out like this with just some setting spray to add a little bit of luminosity, and then that's it. Very, very natural. I don't know if camera will show how natural that looks, but virtually undetectable makeup. If you don't have oily skin, you don't need to set this concealer with powder. It self-sets. And it stays hydrated, but it stays in place all day long. So, love that. And those are my tips. That is basically it for the under eye. If you like this video and you want to show me some love and subscribe, I do videos like this quite often. I am about to receive beauty boxes from Sephora and from Ulta. I'm going to be doing more tutorial videos. I will be doing more reviews. And if you're new here, welcome. If you have any requests on videos you'd like to see, drop it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on TikTok, and I will catch you guys in the next one.